Hello, Varlets. The Skitarii's talent Devblog has just dropped and I wanted to do a lightning summary of it. The key difference of the Skitarii when compared against the other classes is that its combat ability will be using a mechanic called Capacitance Charge. In essence, the abilities won't just be using a cooldown, but they will gain additional devastating effects and potential based on how many charges you've accumulated. This is definitely a first we've gotten amongst all our other classes. At best, we've had abilities with charge counts, like the shield wall, but never had something that would influence its effects or potency. This is great. The blog goes on to say that you can generate capacitance through actions. Both killing basic and elite enemies will be the baseline method, but your talents will also allow you to generate charges from specific actions. We'll also find that many of the talents in the tree will synergize with this mechanic, such as by triggering effects when gaining charges, or by giving you different ways to charge your capacitance. I'm interested to see how different or how much more powerful our abilities can be as a result of stacking more and more charges. Next up, we have our Blitz and Companion, our Servo Skull. This is the default Blitz available at the start, and it can not only provide you aid in combat by shooting at enemies, but can also complete data interrogation minigames too. You can direct it similarly to the Arbiti's dog by pinging a target or data console. This is going to give the Skitarii a pretty nice utility benefit in hectic combat situations where you can't afford to slow down to progress the event. As for upgrades, it appears that by investing more talent points into the Blitz, we can unlock more specialized servo skulls to assist you, like one with a flamethrower and another one with a Medicae function. Also, the Medicae skull can apparently revive and free allies from being netted. It can even rescue them when they are hogtied. Excuse me? Apparently, if you make the investment, you can have both of them floating around with you. This is pretty insane, is it not? Imagine a full team of Skitarii all servo skull maxing and it's just going to be utter chaos. I love it. Can't wait to see the madness that unfolds with this Blitz. Here's also an image of the cosmetic for your servo skull buddy. I like the one with the fire. Next, the blog talks about arc weapons and effects. The way it appears to work is that it interacts with pre-existing electrified state of enemies. The blog goes on to clarify that this is indeed the existing electrocute status effect we have, like from the electrokinetic staff. If a weapon with the arc effect hits an electrified enemy, the electric attack will immediately jump to the nearest enemy and also electrify them. So this means we will have chain lightning effects coming with the Skitarii. If you have multiple Skitarii with arc weaponry, you can also chain off each other's electrified enemies, including the Psyker with Surge Staff. I'm just gonna wallow in my Surge Staff getting pushed closer and closer into the bin at this point. I'm not special anymore. Anyway, moving to gameplay and talents. Here is a picture of the whole talent tree we are getting. It looks wonderfully chaotic and I love the spread of colors you can see at a glance. The fact that you start from the middle reminds me of Path of Exile 2's Constellation skill tree. This will be interesting to see how many things we can pick up as we move around the skill wheel. What follows this are some of the talents we are getting, including the combat ability, the Blitz and Keystone, as well as other interesting nodes. Let's start with the combat abilities. The first one is Voltaic Emitter. Unleash an electric discharge around you, stunning, electrifying and damaging enemies near you. With multiple capacitance charges, the effect is improved, such as by also disabling the weapons of enemies in the nearby area. So this would be the circular area of effect ability for the Skitarii. Kind of reminds me of Sienna's Living Bomb, but is electricity instead of fire. Next we have Cord Claw, and this is what it looks like. Perform a powerful heavy melee attack using a Cord Claw. The ability does not consume multiple capacitance charges, allowing you to store multiple to perform several attacks in succession. I like that it's a weapon/attack combat ability instead of a buff or movement ability like we normally have. This is honestly a breath of fresh air and I look forward to playing with it a lot. Lastly, we have Advanced Combat Doctrines. For a short duration, your weapon locks onto enemies close to your targeting reticule, granting you inhuman accuracy. So this is Soldier 76 Visor but in Darktide? How good this is going to be will depend on how effective our weapons are going to be as well. And I also wonder if this might cause some target prioritization issues or not. Anyway, moving on to our blitzes, the first one we have is the Artificer Servo Skull. You are accompanied by a Servo Skull that can shoot at enemies or complete data interrogations. Further talents allow you to bring specialized Servo Skulls. Yep, we covered this earlier with how we get both a Flamethrower one and a Medicae one. Awesome stuff. The other blitzers are the Arc Grenade, where we throw an Arc Grenade, creating an electric explosion that arcs several times. My first thought with reading this was the Shock Grenade from Destiny 2. It would be pretty funny if it was the arc grenade from Helldivers though, then it would be bouncing around as it pulsed. The last blitz we have is the integrated refraction emitter. Surround yourself in a shield that absorbs all incoming range damage for a short duration. Cool, we are Zarya from Overwatch now. I also think this is the first time we're getting a blitz ability that is a defensive one. How useful this will be depends on how much punishment it can take. For the coherency auras, we have a pretty insane selection, if I might say so. The first one is Resurgence. You and allies in coherency regenerate 50% coherency toughness regardless of enemy proximity. Now, this might not seem like much to you, but if you know how coherency works and how it's kind of bugged because corpses also count as melee enemies targeting you, this basically solves that and might mean we can get perpetual toughness regeneration as long as we are in coherency. The only other character that can sort of do that is the Veteran, and that takes 2 talent points to achieve. Our second aura is straight up Ammunition Deposit. You and allies in coherency have plus 10% ammo reserves. Very simple, very practical, and very good for gun-centric classes. Lastly, we've got Full Render Creed. You and allies in coherency gain increased cleave and rending. This is something I never expected to see. It's definitely fresh, and the fact that it gives a rending after all the rending and uncanny changes is exactly what I expected to happen. This will be a pretty strong aura to support the team damage in high havocs where armor is more aplenty. Now, for keystones, we have Redline Capacitors. Gain increased toughness damage reduction and capacitance generation whenever you spend or gain ability charge. Additionally, you have plus 1 max ability charges. This appears to be our capacitance battery keystone. We'll probably use this in a lot of loops. Flensing Protocols is our next keystone. Killing elites and specials grants Flensing Protocol charges, which increases your damage and toughness damage reduction. Charges are lost when taking damage. Alright, a straightforward and balanced buff to both defense and offense. Simple. Lastly, Power Overload. Killing enemies grants stacks of Power Overload. When reaching the maximum number of stacks, trigger an overload which improves the damage and toughness damage reduction to you and allies in coherency for a short duration. So this seems it reads like it's the team version of the Flensing Protocol. I guess this would be fun in support-orientated builds? I guess we'll find out. The Devblog also reviewed some talents from each of the 4 sides. For melee talents, we have Electro Strike Conduit. Melee critical hits electrocute the first target hit. Target neutralization feedback. Weak spot kills grant stun and suppression immunity for a short duration. Uncapped Arrestor. Successful melee attacks grant stacking bonus to attack speed for a short duration. Oh, so this is basically Frenzy. For range talents, we have Ammunition Restoration Pod. Replenish 1% of your ammo every 15 seconds. Rad Sync. After not shooting for at least a second, gain increased damage on your next shot. Gunsmith. Gain increased reload speed. Additionally, after not shooting for a few seconds, reload a portion of your magazines from your ammo reserve each second. For the support section, we've got Salvation Doctrine. Gain increased damage reduction and revive speed while reviving an ally. Power Overflow. When at full toughness, a portion of your excess toughness replenished is distributed to allies in coherency. Protectorate Protocol. Incapacitated allies in coherency have increased damage reduction. If you free them, gain stun immunity and increased damage reduction for a short duration. Finally, we have something that is specific for electrocution. Voltaic Burst. Staggering enemies with a push applies electrocution, dealing damage and stunning enemies on a cooldown. Weakness Analysis Doctrine. Gain increased damage for a short duration when hitting any enemy suffering from electrocution, soul blaze, burning, bleed, or toxin. System Shock. Electrocuting an enemy applies 4 stacks of brittleness to them. All of these talents seem pretty nice. Range ones look very interesting to me. After all these years, we finally get an auto-loading holster-like talent. Alright, so that is essentially all the good stuff from the Devblog condensed here. If you want to read it, I'll put a link in the description below. I am so excited to play this class when it comes out. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.